Oh my goodness, that was such a filling breakfast. But it's time to move on. So, yo, peoples, Kyushu92 here. Had to, put my camera, my phone flashlight on. I'm working on getting a ring light. I know where I can get one, and I'm gonna get it possibly this week or the next week. But I'm definitely gonna get a ring light so I can stop using my phone as my main light source. And I can have a professional ring light so I can be professional. Also, I'm looking into getting like a little bit of an extendable stand for my microphone that I can attach to my desk. Need to get on a brand new desk as well. The list is kind of long, but I'm working on those as well. So that way, I can add a little bit more professionalism to this channel as a whole. But that's not what you guys are here for today. You're here about the next chapter of My Hero Academia. So let's get started. And just like One Piece, it's going on break for 13 days as well. So that's going to be 2 weeks worth of My Hero that we're not going to be getting. So let's see what chapter 322 is all about. Because it pretty much ended with all the students of UA, all the students of Class 1A, using all of their quirks and abilities to get to Midoriya, with Ida being the one to actually catch up to him and try and knock some sense into him. And when I say knock some sense, kind of remind him that, hey, you don't need to do this all by yourself. I know exactly what you're going through, and by the name of Ingenium, I will do what I can to help those in need, even if it's just holding their hand. So, let's get started with Chapter 322. Chapter 322, Great Explosion, Murder God, Dynamite. Okay, so this must be a Bakugou-related chapter. But it has Midoriya still airborne after Ida launched towards him in order to grab onto his hand, thinking, I have to free myself from his grasp, but I don't have the strength left to do so. And then it just shows Midoriya tearing up in his eyes. And then Uraraka says, release! And they both start falling out of the air because they were both airborne by, with Ida using his ability and everyone else's ability to get Ida airborne, with Uraraka having him float up in the air and Midoriya in the air as well. Now they're released and now they're starting to fall towards the ground, with Ida saying, how can I stick this landing? And then down below, it's Kirishima. It's Kirishima, and he tanks it by being the one to catch both Ida and Midoriya at the same time, with Hakagure saying, well, are you okay? With Kirishima saying, I won't break! Midoriya! A while back, this one story threw me for a loop. Some kid my age dashed into danger to save a pal. That had to be you, right? That didn't have squat to do with special powers or anything. What you did back then is the same sort of action we're taking for you now. And it shows Ida and Midoriya both on the ground now, with Ida saying, stellar positioning on your part, Kirishima. Just happened to be there while following Endeavor's orders, dude. And then it shows the rest of the students all coming to where Midoriya is. All the students are finally catching up to Midoriya. And then we have Mina saying, Midoriya, I can't stand the thought of losing anyone else, Kay? So, won't you stick with us? We got classes to attend and stuff. And Midoriya's starting to stand up. And then Kirishima's all like, whoa there! And then people are saying, Midoriya! And then Midoriya is standing up, but the whites of his face is covered in shadow. His hair is super disheveled and hung low, and his eyes are just like pure white as he says, I'd like that, but I'm too scared for all the people at UA. I don't want to make trouble for anyone else. Things just can't go back to how they used to be. Not anymore. And who's standing in front of him when he says this? But Bakugou. And Bakugou says, hey, remember when I said when Shigaraki made Swiss cheese out of me? Remember what I said when Shigaraki made cheese out of me? No, I don't. And Midoriya's eyes are still just blank white while he's speaking to Bakugou like this. And Bakugou continues, it was stop trying to win this on your own. But I had more to say. I needed to tell you that I got stabbed because my body moved on its own. You know, I always looked down on you because you were quirkless. You were supposed to be beneath me, but I kept feeling like you were above me. I hated that. I couldn't bear to look at you. I couldn't accept the way you were. And as Bakugou is speaking like this, both the visage, how these panels are portraying Bakugou and Midoriya is how they grew up. Back when Midoriya was a child and Bakugou fell off the log and Midoriya helped him up, he looks like that here. And then he continues saying, "So I kept you at arm's length and was mean to you. I tried to act all superior by rejecting you, but I kept losing that fight. Since we got into UA, and during this, it shows them in their previous high school outfits before they went to UA. Since we got into UA, nothing's worked out how I thought it would. Instead, this past year forced me to understand your strength and my weakness." Now it shows them in their UA uniforms. Previously, it was their previous high school uniforms. Now it's in their UA uniforms. "Now I don't expect this to change a thing between us, but I gotta speak my truth. Izuku." Wow! Is this the first time Bakugou has called Midoriya by his name? "I'm sorry for everything." Wow! Bruh! Years of Bakugou always barking at Midoriya, treating Midoriya like he was nothing, looking down at Midoriya like he was less than his own value. And it takes Midoriya going off on his own, being the exact opposite of himself that everyone immediately notices, for Bakugou to just pour his heart and soul out and then apologize for his entire history with Midoriya. He's apologizing to the dude. Bakugou has grown. Oh my goodness, Bakugou has grown. Katsuki, Bakugou, you absolute mature young man. "I'm sorry for everything." And then Midoriya's eyes, his eyes are all wide open looking at Bakugou. With Bakugou saying, "There's nothing wrong with the path you've been walking down since inheriting One for All and following All Might's lead. But now you're barely standing, and those ideals alone ain't enough to get you over the wall you're facing. We're here to step in when you can't handle it all on your own. Because to live up to those ideals and surpass All Might, we gotta save you, the civilians at UA, and the people on the streets. Because saving people is how we win." Yo, who knew Bakugou could give a Captain America type speech? Who knew that Great Explosion Murder God Dynamite would come up with such a pivotal speech like this? And then I guess Midoriya is thinking to himself, "Everyone has always been way ahead of me." And then Midoriya says, "I said you all couldn't keep up with me. I'm so sorry I said something so awful." And then it tries to show Midoriya launch himself away from them, but he doesn't get far because Bakugou catches him. And then Bakugou just says, "We get it." And he's holding Midoriya as all the students of Class 1A are looking on. And it shows Shoto, it shows Sato, Ojiro, Jiro, Uraraka, specifically Uraraka, because she gets a panel all to herself. And then Yaoyorozu speaks up. With that, our first challenge is cleared, but the road ahead will be perilous." And then Uraraka says, "Yeah." And then there's darkness. Oh, he's waking up. 13, he's up. Ah, that's great. Can you hear me, Midoriya? Yes. Wow, we finally get to see what 13 looks like under the helmet. Wow, she looks cool. Because it was kind of left ambiguous about who 13 was underneath there, but now we get to find out it's a she. But 13 says, at present, most civilians have moved into evacuation shelters across the country. The majority of the holdouts are anti-hero protesters who form vigilante corps, or violent pillagers simply riding the wave of the escaped convicts. Every day, more people grow weary of the anti-hero ideology and decide to move into shelters. Meanwhile, most of the violent radicals end up forming gangs that are easy enough to track down. The mass evacuation continues amidst the violence, and personnel are assigned to deal with one effort or the other. Everyone is doing their utmost to improve this situation. As for the aid you were providing out there, other heroes and the police are now able to take on that burden. And apparently, UA has had a massive glow up in security. UA basically looks like Tartarus right now in this panel. What used to be like a small gate and then it would show the nice, beautiful landscape of UA High School and everything in it is now completely covered by a gigantic fortress-looking wall. And then it shows Midoriya being led inside with Midoriya saying, This is UA? And then Seto says, the UA barrier's out in full force and this giant wall is just the tip of the iceberg. And then Hikagure says, you'll freak when you hear the deets about this system. They say we can combine with Shiketsu. And then Midoriya's thinking, of course I want to honor Class A's feelings about all this, but then Midoriya says, no, I can't come back. And then 13 notices something. And then there's noise going on. What's all that noise? And then there's people, I guess, on the inside saying, don't let that boy take one step into UA! They say Shigaraki was targeting some kid and he's the one, isn't he? And President Mike is trying to calm everyone. Hey now, take a chill pill, folks! Didn't you all hear the principal's explanation? He guaranteed our safety no matter what. What? And you were convinced by that crap? We abandoned our homes and came here because we thought we'd be safe. So what's this ticking time bomb doing here? Why's it gotta be UA, huh? Let him hide someplace else. And then Midoriya starts to walk away, but his hand is grabbed by Uraraka. And then she just says, hey, it's okay. Ida and them started linking this chain. Bakugou played his part too. We're not letting go of you now. We won't let you. Because when heroes need protecting, who will be there to protect them? Wow, so here's the thing. You got people inside of UA's big, massive fortress right now that are protesting over the fact that Midoriya has been brought there. Because they know that he's the one that Shigaraki is going after. And they think he's just gonna make Shigaraki target all of them now because Midoriya's gonna be there. And he starts to leave, thinking that it would be better for him. Even after being led here to UA, Midoriya's still thinking, I can't stay here, I can't come back. Even after that, he's still trying to leave, but Uraraka grabs him by the hand and pretty much just says, when heroes need protecting, who will be there to protect them? Because heroes are there to protect the civilians, but who protects the heroes? And Uraraka is going to be the next link in that chain that strengthens the bond between everyone and these students. Everyone and Midoriya as he makes his way back into UA again. I'm going to say this right now. As much as these civilians would like to think that they have any sort of pull to try and demand anything, they don't. That's the funny thing. And just like One Piece, and this is the end of the chapter, it says to be continued. It doesn't give us the date for when the next chapter is up, but it just says on Viz, in the next 13 days, we get the next chapter. So I find it immediately and incredibly funny. I find it incredibly funny how these civilians think they have any place to try and run things in this shelter that they had no part in making. Or here's the thing. Heroes are there to protect the civilians and keep the peace. Yes, but the civilians don't have any rights to demand anything of the heroes, really. They don't. So when I see people like this, and you really notice it when this whole society just started to turn on the heroes after the events of Toya and the events of Shigaraki and all that stuff, you start to see the ugly side of civilians. They only see they're only thinking about their own well-being. They're not thinking about the individual heroes themselves, because there were heroes who retired and just left because this was straight up too much for them. And then the civilians just turned on them, thinking like, oh, you're just leaving because you're a coward, like not knowing what's going through these heroes' heads at the time. These are the same civilians that would not even pass a glance at a child like Shigaraki and say like, oh, a hero will come help you, simply because it's not worth their time. And they think, oh, a hero will come along, and here we are with a massively powerful Shigaraki being led by a massively powerful All For One that could have been avoided if even just one civilian took the time to check on Shigaraki when he was younger and make sure he was okay. These are the same civilians who are telling them, don't let that boy back in here because Shigaraki's after him. Thought we were supposed to be safe when we were in here. Newsflash, civilian. You are in here because the heroes are allowing you to be in here. The heroes are allowing you to be in here because that is their job to keep all of you safe. And you're going off of their best judgment. I know for a fact that if the heroes decided that only the select number of civilians would be allowed in these shelters and everything, y'all wouldn't be... Let me just be specific about this. These civilians are as nice as their peace allows them to be. So when I see civilians like this going off saying like, don't let that boy back in here, I'm like, bruh, do you realize where you're at? Did you build UA? Did you build this shelter? Do you have any sort of authority inside of this shelter that you're cowering in because you can't take care of yourself outside? The heroes allowed you in here because it is within your best well-being's interest for you to be in here. Because if you're out there in the real world, out there with the anti-hero society and ideologies and gangs who are just, running amok out there, you'd probably be dead if it wasn't for the heroes allowing you into their own sacred space that they made. Yet you have the audacity. Couldn't hear me for a moment. Check, check. My mic is fine. My mic is off. I mean, my mic is on. It's on. I haven't hit mute or anything. I hope you were able to hear everything. That must have been weird. I'm double checking. I'm double checking to make sure. It looks like the volume was fine to me, because I haven't muted. All right, continuing on. But these same civilians seem to think that just because they're in there and they're civilians, that they get to demand anything of these heroes. They really don't. They really don't have any place to demand anything. They don't run nothing. They don't run nothing. As much as they would like to think they do, they don't. Because, been fine with hearing you, thank you. They think they really run the place. Really, Michael, they really do. They think that just because they're in there, that they get to call the shots. They don't. It doesn't matter if there's more civilians inside of the shelter than there are actual heroes. They don't run nothing. So that's the reason why, it's like the Joker said, is like when the chips are down, these civilized people, they'll eat each other. And it's really, really very apparent here that these civilians who would just go about their daily lives, not a care in the world, because yes, heroes will protect us, so let me just go about my own business. The heroes will take care of all of these problems. Now that that peace has been shattered, now they seem to think that, well, you're heroes, you're supposed to do your job, you're supposed to protect us. Like, you're not owed protection from these heroes. You're not owed any service from these heroes. These heroes do that. These heroes do what they do because it's right. And because they want to protect people. They want to keep the peace. They want to make the world a better place. You as a civilian offer nothing to this hero society other than being the people that these heroes save. Now, sure, not every single civilian thinks this way, but it's very apparent that these civilians have been spoiled on peace. Notice how history is repeating itself with society ignoring Midoriya and Shigaraki. It's really, yeah, it's kind of repeating itself. These civilians are not paying any mind to Shigaraki when he was a kid and thought the heroes would take care of it. Now we got Midoriya being led back to UA so that the heroes can formulate a plan, and the civilians are all like, we don't care if you're bringing him back in here. We're worried about our safety. We don't care about this boy. We just need him outside. Take him someplace else because we're worried about our own safety. We don't know what's been going through this boy's head for him to be out there by himself all this time, for him to come back covered in dirt and blood, and to be incredibly tired. We don't care about that. Take him out because we're worried about ourselves. You see how selfish the civilians are getting? Bane said it best. Peace has cost you your strength. Victory has defeated you. And now we have these civilians who are so drunk on peace and prosperity and safety from these heroes that the very moment it is destroyed, they just turn on one another. They turn on the people who have pretty much been protecting them for all of these years. And now they're acting like they have some place to demand anything of these heroes who are going out of their way to risk their lives to keep them safe. It really took Shigaraki destroying a whole city and Toya going out of his way to showcase the bad history of Endeavor for these civilians to just immediately take a full 180 and go towards, well, I don't trust heroes anymore, but I still expect them to protect me. They want their cake, and they want to eat it, but they want to have no part in the making. These civilians want all the safety, but they don't care what happens to the heroes as long as they're safe. See, I feel like these civilians, specifically the ones that like to speak up and, run their mouth and think that they have any place to, demand anything of anyone. It's these types of civilians that make some heroes become anti-heroes, that make some heroes become villains, because of just how jaded the society is. As long as you're protecting people and keeping the peace and making sure everyone is safe and that everyone's daily lives isn't interrupted by villains or destruction or hysteria or massive destruction, then you are good in their eyes. But as soon as one bad thing happens, and it ruins their peace, then the heroes are vilified. The heroes are treated less than nothing, as if every effort they spent over the past couple of years meant absolutely nothing. And people wonder why All For One is doing his best to reform this whole society. It's moments like this. They just need to stop and give up and be nice. They have a place to stay and leave Deku alone so you can go into UA and rest, eat, and find out a plan to stop Shigaraki. See, you could explain all of that to these civilians, but they only care about themselves. We're in a safe place, but you bring back the boy that Shigaraki's coming after, and now you're putting all of our lives in danger. Who cares about any of you? What about us? Women and children first, but namely us civilians. The masses want to be protected, yet they scoff at almost every idea the heroes come up with while never constructively contributing to the conversation themselves by offering ideas of their own. You are correct! That is exactly how these civilians are. They want solutions. They demand solutions, but they don't take part in the solution making. It's crazy. It really is crazy. And I have to applaud this story in driving home that, sure, this is a superhero story. And sure, there are plenty of great, fantastic moments like Bakugou. Let me just talk about this from the beginning. Bakugou apologizing and calling Midoriya by his name. Not Deku, but Izuku. And apologizing for everything that has happened throughout their lives. That is such character development for Bakugou. But it's crazy. It's crazy how these same civilians who would be cheerful. This is a superhero story. Let me get back to what I was saying before. This is a superhero story. Not everything is all sunshine and rainbows, just like Lady Nagant said when she was with the special division, with taking out heroes that were consorting with villains and taking out people that needed to be taken out in order to keep the limelight of the heroes in a positive light with the civilians. Not everything is sunshine and rainbows. These recent chapters, well, pretty much this entire arc, let's just be honest here. This entire arc, this final battle arc that we're in right now, it has really showcased the real ugly side of society. It really has. Can't believe he called Deku Izuku. It shows you just how much Bakugou has grown. This man used to just call him Deku all over and over. Over and over. Deku is literally the nickname given by Bakugou to call Midoriya useless, worthless, just beneath him. That's what his nickname means. But this is the first time we hear Bakugou call him by his actual name, which means Bakugou has matured not only in his quirk, but also in his mental thinking. The character that he was at the beginning of the series and the middle of the series is pretty much gone. Be gone, scam. I don't know who you are. You can call me all day. I will never answer. Bakugou hasn't grown considerably in terms of his own character. But this whole superhero story, it is not all sunshine and rainbows. This recent arc has really shown the ugly side of civilian society as a whole towards not just villains, but heroes as well. Where even the heroes themselves are not exempt from scrutiny. And not just scrutiny, but just full-on negative criticism. And they wonder why heroes leave and retire and decide not to be a hero anymore, because the civilians make it incredibly difficult to want to go and save them. Oh, great, you saved me, but this hero got away, so you need to be doing your job. Like, you can't just take solace in the fact that you just been saved by a hero? You gotta do extra? I was about to cry when he called Deku Izuku. That is such a massive, pivotal character moment for Bakugou right there. It feels like he has fully let go of his own past grudges and own animosity towards Midoriya completely during his whole superhero speech. His own Captain America speech that he gave in this chapter. It shows just how far Bakugou has gone from being this loud, boisterous guy who thinks he's better than everyone else to literally breaking down and bowing his head before Midoriya, saying, I am sorry for everything. Bakugou, along with Midoriya, have grown exponentially. I think in terms of character development, Bakugou and Midoriya have had the most character growth out of every single character in this entire story. But Bakugou is edging out past Midoriya because Bakugou had a lot to work with when he was growing up, and he had a lot of emotional baggage that he was just carrying with him for literal years, ever since he and Midoriya were kids. So to see him break down and just apologize for everything, and then be the one to give the uplifting speech and lead Midoriya and everyone back to UA? Bakugou, 10 out of 10 on your character development. You were a crappy friend before, but I would go to battle with you right now because that's how far you've gone. That's how far you've grown. I'm proud of Bakugou. Who would imagine that the loud, boisterous guy from the beginning of the series would be this calm, collected guy at the end, apologizing for all of his past animosity towards Midoriya? Who knew that he would get to this point? And now Midoriya is at UA with Uraraka holding on to Midoriya, because Midoriya is prepared to leave. He doesn't want to cause any trouble for anyone. He doesn't want anyone to feel like they're unsafe just by him being there, knowing that Shigaraki and all for one are going to target him. But Uraraka's all like, no you don't. You're not leaving. Not this time. Who protects the heroes when the heroes are protecting everyone else? And Uraraka is going to be the one to step in and pretty much continue to pull him forward towards the path of recovery, despite all these civilians thinking they have some sort of say into into deciding whether Midoriya stays at UA or not. I mean, newsflash, they don't. I just noticed that the final panel of chapter 319 feature Ida, Bakugou, and Ochako, and that the conflict really did end with two of them reaching out to Deku. I suspect Ochako will have her turn now. I mean, Ida had his turn, reminding Midoriya that Midoriya was in the same state Ida was in when Ida went after Stain, messed up his brother. And then Bakugou is dealing with Midoriya due to all of their past history. Before they even went to UA, they had a history. And now, it's Ochako's turn. Because out of the ring of friends, Midoriya is closest to Uraraka, Ida, and Bakugou. Everyone else he pretty much is, on really good terms with, but Ida, Bakugou, and Ochako are literally the ones that he is closest to. Ida had his turn when he grabbed Midoriya from the air. Bakugou had his turn when he talks to Midoriya and apologizes for everything. Now, it's Uraraka's turn. And that will close this circle of friends that Midoriya has, like his close-knit friends group that he has, that he's absolutely closest to. That'll close that ring, and then we can move on from there. So I feel like it's going to be Uraraka's turn in the next chapter. For her to, be with Midoriya and, close that gap that's necessary for Midoriya to get back to where he was. Maybe in the future, Bakugou and Deku will be amazing pro heroes together. I mean, with Bakugou finally reconciling all his differences with Midoriya in this one big speech, I would imagine that an adult Bakugou and an adult Midoriya would be an absolutely powerful duo. That's what I think. But One Piece had a fantastic chapter today, a 10 out of 10 chapter, and My Hero Academia had a 10 out of 10 chapter as well. Simply because of the speech that Bakugou gave and the fact that Midoriya is finally on his way back to UA. And despite all the civilians' protests, I mean, they're not going to stop Midoriya from being there. Doesn't matter how long they protest or whatever. I mean, if they don't like it, they can leave. They can leave. I have no problem kicking out any civilians that seem to think that they get to run things in an area run by heroes. You can help, but you can't demand. And that's what these civilians seem to be forgetting. They are in no position to bargain. Heroes, I've come to bargain. That's not the case here. The civilians are there to be protected. I want to see Toshinori again. I am a little concerned. All Might, I believe he's fine. I'm sure he's fine because his Hercules car was outside the outskirts of the city. So he's in there, but we just haven't seen All Might yet. I feel like once Uraraka has her talk with Midoriya, All Might's gonna come in, and that's when the relationship that All Might and Midoriya had, that'll be rekindled. Because it kind of got severed when Midoriya ignored his pleas for Midoriya to rest, and he jumped away from him, leaving his bento box on the ground, not even wanting to eat, and All Might is left, curling on the ground in anguish because Midoriya was slipping away from him. I feel like that chain that was broken from that one moment will be relinked once Uraraka is done talking to Midoriya. But we're going to have to see when the chapters come out 13 days from now. We might as well just say 2 weeks. So we're just going to have to see. Deku with all 7 quirks and Bakugou as a true friend to Deku, I see they will be amazing pro heroes. I mean, Deku with all 7 quirks mastered, and Bakugou as his true friend. That'll be interesting to see as well. Late again, anyway. Hello there, amazing chapter. Dalka. It almost looked like an I to me. Sorry about that. Dalka, welcome. Random Boy, everyone. Let me just acknowledge everyone who's here. Marv Boy, Random Boy, Hiroshi, Michael, Ko is, and Dalka as well. This was a fantastic chapter, and seeing such worthwhile character growth with these characters as all these years have gone on is just simply amazing. That's why I love this story. It does world building right, it does character building right, it does story narrative wise right. I feel like, and here's the thing, some people may say that the pacing may be a bit off with everything that's going on. I feel like the pacing is fine. The pacing is fine. That's how I feel. That's just how I feel personally, but the pacing for this arc has been going very smoothly. That's just my personal opinion, but I've been enjoying every single moment of it, and I don't feel like some chapters have been dragging on. That's why I enjoy this story. It's doing everything right now in this final battle arc that it has. So I'm pleased that I was able to invest so much time into this story. And I want to say thank you for being patient with me as I started I started these reactions for My Hero years ago, like back in 2018. And I just want to say thank you everyone who has stuck with me as this story has gone on. It means the absolute world to me. I really do enjoy doing these for you, and I'm glad to have invested so much time into this story. It's an honor and a privilege to be someone who does these things for you guys while I'm enjoying the story. So I enjoyed it immensely, and I just want to say thank you for your continued support in any way that you see fit. I'm just thankful. I really am just thankful. Let me just see what's being said here in chat before I go. Love My Hero Academia. I know Inko Midoriya is going to be flooding the place when she sees her son again. Oh, don't show Midoriya to her when he's all covered in blood and dirt and stuff like that. She's gonna have a heart attack. Might have to keep medical girl around just in case. Thank you for taking time out of your day for us. Of course. I am always honored to do this. This is what I enjoy doing. This is literally what I see myself doing as like a full-time job because I enjoy it that much. Sure, it's hard. It is hard. Especially trying to do this full-time because I'm still going after that goal. I want to be able to do this full-time and this be my full-time job versus where I work now part-time. This is what I'm going after. And I'm not going to stop until I achieve it just because I enjoy it that much. I won't stop. I refuse to stop. Minor detail I noticed is that rain was drawn like lines, indicating it was literally pouring, but when Katsuki was speaking, the rain stopped in midair. Cool stuff. Hold on, let me see that chapter. Let me see that panel. So here, when it shows Bakugou speaking, saying, "I'm sorry for everything," it's raining. Then when Midoriya tries to launch away from them, and Bakugou catches him, the rain for a brief second is not seen. So in this instant, Bakugou was quick enough to catch Midoriya so fast, I'm guessing the rain appeared to have stopped because that's how fast Bakugou caught him, or is just there for artistic purposes. Either way, it's still great. Either way, it's still a great chapter. But let me not bog you down any more than I already have with details. But overall, I enjoyed this chapter. Thank you, everyone, for just tuning into my channel and whatever I do. Because I'm always looking forward to entertaining you guys. I always have energy for this, and I will never stop until I can start doing this full time. And then I'll just keep doing what I'm doing. But, you know, doing it as a job. But it won't feel like a job because I'll actually enjoy it, and I look forward to it every time. It won't feel like work. It'll just be like, fun for me. But that's all I got. So with that being said, hope y'all enjoyed. Can't wait to see you all in my next video. And if you're new to the channel and you enjoyed what you saw here today, then consider subscribing because I am always looking forward to entertaining you. So have a fantastic day. And once again, as always, later, peoples.